thank you for taking the time to do this. So we are at Tasting Room in Monona with Jason and Jessica Smith. You guys are the owners of Tasting Room. This is an awesome place. It is a beautiful location. I've been coming in here since you opened this shop, and then previously before you owned Tasting Room at the old location on Monona. So let's take it back to the beginning. When did you have your first cigar? What was your first experience with cigars?
Well, I mean, growing up in Superior, Wisconsin, I guess my first true experience was probably, a Swisher Sweet or something like that, but which I really was not a big fan of cigars until when I moved out to Boston, went to law school, and I had a friend of mine out there. And after class one day, he just, asked me if I liked cigars, and I said, no, not really. And he brought me down to this little place on the Common, about 150-year-old place, and he bought me an Ashton Classic.
Okay.
And sat down. We, sat over on the park bench, watched all the, pretty girls walk by at the time, and we sat and talked for, about an hour, and from that day, I was just hooked on cigars. The experience, the camaraderie, talking, relaxing was amazing.
So you enjoyed it from the beginning, or did you have a time where it was like someone had to convince you to?
No, he just brought me out there, had me try that, and I was hooked. And that was, almost 30 years ago.
Very cool. How about you?
It would be with Jason.
Okay.
It was our first date. We went to a local cigar bar downtown, and I think it was probably in Ashton, because I think it was a little bit of a
good entry cigar.
Full circle, right? You did it in Ashton as well.
Yep.
So it was with Jason.
I had to check out early on, kind of like a litmus test.
Right. Was this
is she okay with cigars? If she is, then she's probably the one.
I'm still trying to get my wife to enjoy them. Although we were in Miami, gosh, this was last year. We were on. Miami, we did the whole Little Havana tour, did everything, and then I was like, all right, you're in a cigar mood if you're ever going to be in one right now. Right. And then she had a Patron 1926.
Oh, that's good.
And she was like, this isn't terrible. I was like, all right, we're one step closer.
It's a great step.
Yeah. So you enjoyed cigars, but that wasn't your career at the time, though. And so how did you go from just enjoying cigars to like, I want to do this vocationally?
Sure. Well, I spent about the first 5 years of my career as an attorney, and people have always heard me make the joke that I'm a recovering attorney. Yeah. And so I spent a couple decades doing private equity, business investments. Mm-hmm. And sometimes if I didn't go downtown to my office, I live over here in Monona, and I would just stop at the shop over here, open up the laptop and start doing some work there and have a cigar. And I got to know the previous owner, and he had asked me at the time, hey, you buy and sell businesses, would you be interested in a cigar lounge? And I said, absolutely not. And so at the time, it wasn't really something I had experience running before, but my wife has a very solid extensive hospitality experience in another business, which we now own. Okay. But I once I started learning more about it, I've always really felt passionately about the way that people interact in a cigar lounge, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, what you do for a living. It's that 45 minutes to an hour where everything slows down, people treat each other with respect, and they connect. And I just fell in love with that culture.
That's awesome. So this was your background was hospitality. What did that look like?
I managed a salon and spa locally, and I did that for about 10 years until we had our son, and then we ultimately, he brought this to the table about possibly purchasing a cigar lounge, which
it's sort of a spa.
It really is so similar where, people come to relax. Yeah. They come to relax.
For cigar smoke.
Yeah, absolutely. So it all worked out really well there.
So when they gave you the opportunity to buy the old location, was that something you were interested at all before? Because if you're kind of a regular going in, was it something you could see yourself owning when you'd visit it, or
I think,
or at least an industry you wanted to be in?
I think it was an evolution. Okay. Oftentimes, both Jessica and I, when we we look at things, sort of the way that they are, and oftentimes we think about what they could be.
Yep.
And going in there, the client base and the vibe, and I mean, it was a really great place to go and smoke a cigar. And we wanted to be very cognizant of, if we moved it and made it into, a more inviting, more full service experience, we didn't want to lose that feel, where oftentimes, I won't mention any names, but there are certain places around the country, around the world, where sometimes you go in and it feels a little cold or it feels a little sterile.
Yep.
And we wanted to avoid that type of feeling. So, we wanted to build a place that was nice, but not too nice, not off-putting, right? So that anyone could come in and feel welcome. So what we did is, I initially, when Jessica and I were talking, I said, hey, we should make this into, a wonderful place to smoke a cigar. And Jessica came back with an even better idea, which was, let's make it the best place that we would want to go if you're out with somebody who's smoking a cigar.
Sure.
So while we are focused, right, it's a cigar lounge. I mean, we have events, a TAA store, but it is a place that even if you're not a cigar smoker, or maybe a future cigar smoker, that you still could come here and feel right at home and enjoy yourself.
That's what I've found interesting about this shop compared, not trashing other shops, but some of them, it's like you have to be really into cigars. If you're not, you're in a cloud of smoke,
Right.
which is a ventilation issue, which should be addressed at most shops.
Well, on that topic,
It's an expensive topic.
that was an expensive endeavor, and we spent a lot of time and energy putting in a system that is fresh air every 4 minutes. It's 15 air
In the
exchanges.
whole room?
It goes out through. We had it engineered early on, and it goes all the way through the top of the building. So it's a beast.
I was going to say, because you're in an apartment complex.
Yes.
Sure. The system itself is down in the basement. It's the size of 2 pickup trucks, and the exhaust fan is gigantic, and it's up through the top of the building. So that was an endeavor.
So bypasses.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it goes all the way out, so you don't get smoke out on the patio or on the walkways.
Very cool. So you have, to go back to that, you decided you wanted to buy the shop. What was that process like? Because like you said, you looked at it for what it was, and then you were trying to figure out what could this be.
Right. Well, I
and your
guess
first move wasn't moving it.
Actually, it was surprisingly earlier than that we thought it was going to be. So I believe we purchased the business, and then a month later, we had already leased this space.
So was that something you had in mind before you?
No, it just kind of felt. Well, I mean, ultimately, yes, to move, but not that quickly.
Yep.
But the space became available, and we kind of had to jump on it. There was a lot of interest already in this new development for Monona, so it was
good timing.
pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, the reality.
There was still a build out.
Right.
So,
the reality was we knew it would take, a better part of a year to even build this out. We wanted to continue it, like with any business, if you're coming, you want to learn your market, the ins and outs of the industry, your suppliers, your margins, all of sort of the core fundamentals of running a business.
Sure.
And that takes time. So we knew that, the quickest that we could expand the space, was going to be a year, but it really was about a 2-year process between our planning and, building out, securing the space. Which relatively soon into an endeavor. And, and we had looked at some other options, but when this space became available, I mean, you got the river next door and this giant patio and with heaters, it just seemed like a perfect fit. And, sometimes things work out the way they're supposed to, I guess.
This is awesome. Did you guys design this, or was this?
This was just an empty, space. And the
building wasn't even up yet when we
I was going to say you built this as the building.
Yes.
Yeah. So, quick story on that is a friend of a friend invited us down to meet the developer here, and we went down to a local place, had a couple of beers, and we were just talking about the what if kind of scenario. He's like, I understand that you might be interested in expanding the cigar lounge, and I said, well, yeah, but we want to learn the business like we were talking about. And he, went out to his car and said, I want you to look at these plans. I'm like, okay. So he showed us this, and we looked at it and we just knew. We were like, we wanted this space right at the end, with the traffic going by and the big patio. So it took all of about 10 minutes to make the decision that this is where it should be. Yeah. Now the design took considerably longer.
I was going to say,
but the decision to be here was
the aesthetic of this place. It's wide open, it's bright, but it's not. It doesn't feel like you're walking into a fluorescent room, and it's not a vibe you get from many cigar shops. So it's not the kind of dingy, dark. You have the leather chairs, but they're It's
and Jessica was this design is hers. And surprisingly, it's not what she does for a living, but she should. I don't know. We couldn't be happier. I think it's
just wanted some place that we would want to hang out.
Yep.
And that's what it is. I think not having a background in the industry, we didn't think about, you need to have this, you need to have that, this is how it feels,
Yep.
So I think that was helpful in this.
fresh eyes.
There was no
fresh eyes.
expectation.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know cigar bars that I don't want to be in.
Yes. Yeah, there's a few of those.
I think that's a good point. I think it really was, oftentimes we would, go downtown and, maybe get dinner, and then we would, want to just stop and have a drink before we went home. And, I guess there wasn't something like this where you could be on a date night, or you could be, playing poker with your buddies, and it's equally comfortable. And so it's a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah.
The bar you have, I don't know of any. I'm sure they're out there, but not anywhere around here to have a bar and a cigar lounge to that level.
Yeah.
And
that's impressive. Which for people who aren't watching this interview, we'll have pictures and we'll have other video to show the place, but this bar is impressive, and then the way it's operated is
well. And we were pretty fortunate to find a good bar manager, beverage director. He had a pretty solid pedigree in California. His fiance was going to grad school here, and he was looking for a place. And when we sat down and talked to him, we said, we don't just want you to work for us. We'd like you to work with us and help develop something special. And
that was
think
an
he really
evolution
did.
as well too. So it started out, we had a few great things, tried to do everything a little bit differently. I think people get confused when we, don't have captain.
for sure.
But we really work with them and help them find what they need. But that's been an evolution too, and Reed really took it to the next level of what I saw a cocktail bar should be.
Right.
No, everything's fresh. There's no mixes or anything like that.
Yeah,
So
he makes his own Bloody Mary mix from scratch, and gum syrup from scratch, bitters from scratch. All of those little
they have a
touches.
cigar box bitters that he made.
Yeah, he uses
I'll have
Spanish cedar from the inside of a box and actually infuses that into bitters, and it's in our whiskey cocktail. It's really good.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Is the selection of cigars you have, and let me back up there. When you select cigars to bring into your shop, and when you select different drinks and whiskeys and wine and everything like that, do you bring them in with intent to pair? Does that happen? Or
not always, but sometimes. A perfect example was we just did a staff appreciation day, and we got a bus and went up to a distillery and selected our next house barrel. And this is now our third one. It's our fourth one. Sorry about that. And it was nice to have everybody involved. Everybody got a vote in it, and it was unanimous on the barrel that we selected, which was really fun.
We were the quickest group, he said, to select a barrel.
It took us about 4 minutes, I think.
That can be a long process for some people.
Yes.
But everybody was unanimous on the one. It was pretty amazing. So that's going to be the next one we brought in. But our bar manager brought some of the gum syrup and those cigar box bitters and he brought it with because before we made the final decision, we thought we had the right one, but we wanted to mix it for our house whiskey cocktail. And then we mixed that and we had everybody, and it turned out fantastic.
To prove that it actually works.
The idea was, to bring that cocktail. And then, we have with our house blends, a Habano and a San Andreas. And, I like one with a Manhattan and one with a whiskey cocktail.
Sure.
And we have oftentimes, a staff recommendation. If somebody says, what do you smoke with this? So, we don't want to exclude cigars simply because we might not have, what someone would consider the right alcohol, since it's pretty subjective as it is. But yeah, there is some thought. It's not a deal breaker, though.
And so you're a TAA store too, Tobacconist Association of America. How does that influence what you have in your humidor?
Well, we have an entire wall on one side of the humidor, which is all TAA and limited edition cigars. So when people come in, oftentimes they go right to the wall, see what's new, see what's in, see what allocation we got.
We obviously want to support those guys too.
Right.
Yeah. So we go to TAA. To the meetings, and I mean, it's a blast, but it's also a really nice chance to understand a little bit more about what goes into each one of these, TAA limited edition cigars.
Get to know the owners on an intimate, level. It's, 3 days of just being around the owners of the cigars.
Yeah, those trade shows are interesting.
Yeah,
because you're immersed in it and you see a very different perspective.
And I think that's also helped with having. Nick Perdomo and Rocky Patel, Michael Herklotz, and Christian Aurora. We've had people, at stores or events, or so I think
building those relationships with them.
Yeah, I think having that type of face-to-face interaction over a couple of days really kind of, I think, provides more of an incentive, gets them more excited to come and check out the space.
For the cigar selection you have, do you see it drawing a specific type of cigar smoker? Because you talked about the atmosphere here and the way you designed it. Just the whole mission of this place is to introduce people and to bring people in.
I think at the previous location, just given our space constraints, I think it lent itself more to just an experienced, knowledgeable cigar smoker.
Sure.
And I think with more selections and a broader range now with the larger humidor, I do see a lot of people, quite a few, frankly, that either were a novice cigar or maybe an inexperienced cigar smoker that have really grown to like it, and it's fun to watch. Often, someone who for the first time, if I'm in the humidor and I get somebody on Ashton Classic again, right?
Yep.
Get somebody to try something or Monte Cristo White, and they have a good, enjoyable experience with that, and then we kind of move them up the flavor scale, maybe into a Melanio or something like that, and it's just fun to watch, how their palate changes and how they get more excited, and it's one of my favorite things to do is to work the humidor.
One of my favorite moments with cigars was like I've been smoking cigars for 10-ish years, and then none of my friends did, and none of my friends up here. I lived in Kentucky for a little while, and pipe smoking was the thing down there. But watching people, like you said, try this Ashton, try Perdomo Champagne, something light, and then they slowly get into it, and then they want to expand, and then they start asking you, have you tried this? I really liked it. And it's something
That's exactly right
off from what you did. So seeing people explore the humidor and explore what they like and have that develop is cool.
I think that's your favorite thing.
And then they get to know the brands, and so you can...
I've had a lot of luck. I know that people have done this before, but I've had a lot of luck with that. The strategy of asking people how they like their coffee, and then kind of going into it, and it's fun. My wife and I will come. If we do stop here and on a Friday night and it's busy and it's kind of fun to just randomly, if I'm just in to grab a cigar for myself and start talking to people and suggest something and then, give them my take on what that flavor profile is and then say, hey, I'm going to be here for a while. So if you don't like it, I'll take it back and we'll get you something else, no charge. But just let me know how it is. And it's just fun to see the look on people's faces after they try something new that they really like for the first time.
Well, and then the hospitality of that, of if you don't like it, let us know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think people too often are handed a cigar or a drink and they're like, this is what you're supposed to like.
Right.
Hope you enjoy it. And they're repulsed by it.
Yeah, it's not how we operate.
And so letting people explore and giving them the platform to do that is cool. What's your go-to cigar? If you had one.
I kind of have
your favorite kid?
As I say, I kind of have a top five. Well, hard to say. Depends on what kind of mood I'm in, what I'm drinking, whether I've eaten or not.
Sure.
But I'd say, my top fives are, I bounce around with, I mentioned the Milano, Liga number 9. I prefer the Tubo. The Plasencia Almafuerte. I really like Rafael and AJ's new, that 1935.
I haven't had it yet.
Really? Oh, you're killing me. You got to try it before you go today.
Okay. I will.
I'll get you one. They're fantastic. And the Bijou. Those are probably my top fives.
Yeah, that was my go-to for a long time, the Le Bijou. I was
if you like that, you'll love this one.
Okay. I'm excited for that.
So I'm also a sucker for the Monte Cristo number 2, the Cuban, which we can't sell.
Which you can't
obviously.
sell.
However, I feel like the number 2, that anniversary, is in the same wheelhouse for flavor profile.
It's close.
Yeah. A little more peppery, but.
How about you? What's your go-to cigar and drink? And
Sure. Whatever Jason has smoked that's all nice and warmed up for me.
there you go.
It's usually
Whatever's
what I
available.
do.
Those oils to marry.
Yeah. Favorite cocktail? Our Manhattan
Okay.
is, or actually, let's be honest, I really do espresso martinis.
There you go.
And I think we make the best espresso martini.
That's kind of my go-to when we travel as well, and I'm really partial to what Reed has done here.
We'd go everywhere we'd go. We'd always have an espresso martini, so we'd find our favorite one and then make Reed recreate it and make it even better.
So that's your litmus test for bars? Is
Bloody Marys and
the
espresso martinis. And a Manhattan.
And a Manhattan.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So if people haven't been here or have been here and you just want to reiterate, what makes Tasting Room unique? Or what sets it apart from other shops, and why should people come check this out?
I think it's that the breadth of how inviting it is. Like we touched on earlier, that you could be a cigar aficionado, you could be somebody who's never had one who's out with someone who is, or
Sure.
just we have an informal ladies' night that just a group of professionals, women that get together and they go out on the patio and they have cocktails and wine. Some of them smoke cigars, some of them don't. But it's that feeling that everyone belongs here.
Yep.
And I think that whether it's, you could sometimes go into a place that's known for high-end craft cocktails, or you can go into certain types of cigar lounges and feel like you don't. You feel like an outsider.
Intimidation
And I think that I'm really proud of, I have to say, that we just don't make people feel that way.
Right.
Both our patrons and our staff are very inviting. When people come in, and we have lots of people that say it's like my home away from home. It's a sanctuary. I always like to joke that if you come in and buy a $10 cigar and a $10 pour, that's $20 vacation, and you're just there for the next hour. So.
Yeah, it's commitment to time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which one of my friend that got me into smoking pipes. He works at a shop in Nashville now, and he got a tattoo, which I was like, this is a bold move. He got a tattoo that says, "Put your phone down and smoke your damn cigar." Just going all the way down his arm. I was like, well done. And that's kind of what cigars are about. It's commit to time, commit to community, conversation, and there's not many industries or places that's kind of still the case where that can be done. So
I agree completely.
So awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Our pleasure.
We're excited to feature you guys in the magazine. This has been one of my favorite shops, and you guys are knocked it out of the park.
I genuinely appreciate it.
Phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.